Knowing how to turn off utilities in an emergency situation is a really important skill to know. Hey, I'm Todd with Ready Your Future, and this is another prepper tip video. Listen, there's a lot of information out there on how to turn off utilities. You can go to YouTube, you can search on the internet. There's plenty of information out there. I don't necessarily want to talk about that, but I want to talk about another aspect, actually two other aspects of this. Now, I'm thinking about a story that I remember someone that I've worked with in the preparedness community told me about. So this guy lived in a rural setting up north, like way up north, and he had a factory and he worked in the city. And so there was this one freak time where there was this blizzard that came in and blew in, and he was stranded at his workplace and he wasn't able to get home. Now, I mean, he was prepared. He had things at work. He was prepared. He was good to go. Home, although the family wasn't all into preparedness, they had what they needed. And because they lived up north, they were used to, being, in blizzards and things like that. But he was talking about the water specifically, and they had a water well and it was frozen over. So they didn't know how to really get to it or get to the water. Now, the family, again, had water that they could, depend on, but he was thinking, depends on how long I am stuck here at work. And so a lot of the times in preparedness, there might be one person, the spouse, if they prepare, or, the man, the woman, they might know how to take care of things, how to turn off utilities, how to turn off the water, gas, electricity, but not everybody, right? Not the kids. Kids don't always know this information because we just believe that we're always going to be at home when it's time to dig into this. And so I think this first aspect that I want to talk about is that kids need to know how to turn off the utilities. And of course, your spouse, if your spouse isn't familiar with it, if you're the handyman around or the handy woman around, your spouse needs to know how to turn off the utilities, where they're located. Sometimes it just depends on where the water meter outside is located. It depends on where the gas is going to be located, and sometimes the electrical box, where the circuit breakers are and stuff like that. It's just good to know. Sometimes if you pop a circuit breaker and you need to go turn it back on or whatever, it's just good to know where it's at. You don't have to wait for somebody else to be able to do that. So that's that first aspect. The second aspect is you need to have the tools to be able to do that. So one of the things that I would recommend is having tools that are specifically dedicated to turning off the specific utilities. And that, you might be saying, well, Todd, that kind of takes it out of, practice or out of, the toolbox or whatever. And I would say, yeah, it could be that there's something dedicated to turning off the utilities, and you just don't wind up using that for other other things, and your family knows that, and your kids know that, because if you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. They grab something, especially tools, and they go use it and they don't put it back. But stating to the whole family is like, hey, this is a tool that is going to be for this specific purpose, turning off the gas, right? And so this wrench is here, and you know that you can always find it right here. You don't have to go into the garage or into the toolbox and searching for this wrench. It's right here, dedicated for this. If you have a water meter, and some homes, like my home, I have the water meter, and then I also have a valve that is in my garage where I can go and turn off the water there. And so it is a turn off from the street to the home, right? So that's an easy way of turning it off there. But so you could have something there, or you just have something dedicated where someone can grab it. So for instance, in mine, in my home, the water meter that I have outside, it's pretty deep, probably about 1.5 feet there, and there's always junk in there. There's always leaves, there's always spiders, there's always whatever. And so, I've been able to get in there and I don't have a problem, dealing with that, but not everybody would do that. So if you see spider webs and stuff like that, people might, like, your kids might, or your wife might say, like, I'm not putting my hand in there. So having a water meter key or a water meter wrench, they're called different things. But if you go search on on any of the search engines and you type in water meter key or water meter T, because it's just a long 24 to 28 inch basically bar with a little wrench on the end, and it's just a T on the top where you can just twist. You might want to have that dedicated to be able to turn off the water. And so I really would recommend doing that. Gather the family around, gather the tools around, say, hey, this tool is going to be for the gas shut off. This tool is for the water shut off. Go show them how to do it. Not actually turn it off, but like point to where it's at, line up. You want to line up the holes, on the gas. You want to, line up the holes on the water. It's just an easy way of letting them know how to do it, how to turn, all that kind of stuff, just in case there's an emergency to be able to do that. You could, for instance, in my home, I have gas, a gas stove, and let's just say there's a leak behind the stove, and my kids we've always gone over knowing how to make sure that all the burners are off, right? You don't want to smell gas in the house. But what if there was a leak behind there and it's not something that was there? You don't want them in the house, smelling that or whatever. You want them to be able to, or not like, hey, I got to call somebody to come turn off the gas. You want to be able to know how to do that, or you want them to know how to do that before it gets to something serious, right? And so, that kind of stuff. You don't need a tool for turning off, circuit breakers and things like that, but showing them where it's at. Again, in some places, like if you live in an apartment, you live in a townhome, some homes have them in the garage. Mine has it in the back of the house. And so you want to know how to get to all those things. So anyway, that's just a quick prepper tip there. I think it's important that all family members know how to turn off the utilities, and then how to do it. Where are the wrenches that you need to be able to turn this off. All right, that's it. If you're interested in more prepper tip videos, you can hit the link at the top of the video. There's going to be a prepper tip video playlist. Thanks so much for watching.